Have you been feeling restless in places that once gave you comfort? Have you noticed the sermons don't speak to you the same way? Or that the walls of the church now feel too small for what's happening inside you? Have you wondered if maybe, just maybe, God Himself is moving you out of the familiar into something far greater? Chosen one. This is not rebellion. This is revelation. God has seen your tears on the pew, your prayers in silence, your hunger for more than tradition. He has walked you through rejection, misunderstanding, and the quiet ache of being unseen even by those who call themselves believers. And now, heaven is making a bold move. He's closing the churches for you, not to punish you, but to release you. He's shifting your assignment from routine to purpose, from sanctuary to battlefield, from sitting in the crowd to standing in your calling. You don't need stained glass to encounter Him. His Spirit already dwells within you. The real sanctuary is you, what others couldn't see in you. God Himself planted there, and no one can cancel what He's confirmed. If you feel that stirring right now, comment 777 as your sign to heaven that you're ready to step out of the pew and into your destiny. And to every heart who has fueled this mission through super thanks, my deepest gratitude. You are not just supporting content. You're amplifying a divine movement that is setting people free. Stay with me, because what comes next will reveal why God just closed the churches for you and how this shift can unlock the next stage of your calling. God's chosen ones. God just closed the churches for you. Here's why. What's coming next in your life is not a small shift. It is a divine upheaval, a holy reconstruction of everything you thought you understood about God, yourself, and the meaning of belonging. The walls that once sheltered your spirit have begun to whisper, not because you've grown rebellious, but because heaven has begun to expand your frequency beyond the walls. If something in your soul has always pulsed with a quiet unease inside the church, if you've ever sat in the pews and felt like the air was too still for your spirit, you are not broken. You are being beckoned. That restlessness is not confusion, it's resonance. It is the echo of your original design awakening to its true coordinates. Like Jeremiah, who said, "His word is in my heart like a fire shut up in my bones," Jeremiah 20:9. Your spirit burns not to abandon God, but to experience Him without filters, without walls, without performance. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to carry a frequency that shakes the atmosphere wherever you stand. Have you noticed how repetition began to dull your devotion? How the rituals that once filled you now feel like echoes of a conversation you already outgrew? That's not apathy, it's evolution. God has outgrown the spaces you've tried to keep Him in. And now He's inviting you to meet Him outside the temple. This calling is not rebellion, it's realignment. The church taught you foundation. Now heaven is teaching you expansion. What He's building in you is not a congregation, but a sanctuary of awareness, a living cathedral inside your consciousness. Your soul is no longer content to echo someone else's sermon. It wants to become one. Remember how David met God in caves, how Elijah heard Him not in the wind, the fire, or the earthquake, but in the whisper. 1 Kings 19:11-12. That same whisper is calling you now not to leave faith, but to step beyond imitation into intimacy. The painter Elias Renard once said, "When a room becomes too small for the song in you, You must sing under the open sky. His words are not far from truth. They are prophecy. You've outgrown the walls of conformity because God's voice in you has grown too vast to echo in corridors built by men. And this expansion, though lonely at first, is sacred. You're not leaving the church. You are becoming one. Your prayer life is no longer a duty, it's a dialogue. Your worship no longer depends on music, it flows from breath, heartbeat, and awareness. Isaías 43:19 declares, "Behold, I am doing a new thing, now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it?" That verse isn't an announcement, it's a diagnosis. You are standing in the tension between endings and beginnings. The pews that once sustained you can no longer contain you. And that's not failure, that's fulfillment. Abraham had to leave the familiar land of Ur, not because it was cursed, but because his calling required open sky. Like him, you are being asked to walk toward a promise without a map. Faith has always been less about knowing the route and more about trusting the architect. And yes, many will misunderstand this stage. They will call it drifting, backsliding, pride. But those who live by formulas will never recognize the sound of freedom. When Jesus flipped the tables in the temple, he wasn't rejecting worship, he was cleansing it of transaction. When he met the Samaritan woman by the well, he announced, "The hour is coming when true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and truth." John 4:23. That hour isn't coming anymore, it has arrived. And it looks like you. Your journey beyond the walls is not departure, it's destiny. You're being called to rediscover God in the mundane, in the rhythm of your breathing, the sound of rain, the hum of existence itself. The cathedral you seek is not built of stone, but of surrender. When the organ falls silent, your pulse will become its melody. When the preacher's voice fades, the Spirit will preach through your stillness. And here's the truth I've learned in my own awakening. Sometimes God closes doors not as rejection, but as redirection. He closed the churches for you, not to silence your faith, but to amplify your hearing. The absence of noise is where revelation begins. As the poet Hildegard of Bingen wrote in her celestial hymns, there is music in the empty spaces where souls remember their origin. Number 2, so rise. Chosen one. The altar is not gone, it's moved inside you. The sermon is not over, it's being rewritten through your life. Share below what this season has awakened in you. Let your testimony become someone else's permission. Like, comment 777 if you feel this frequency stirring in your chest. Subscribe to this movement, not as followers of a channel, but as builders of the new temple where heaven and earth meet in the silence of an awakened heart. For this is not the end of church. This is the rebirth of communion, and it begins with you. What feels like separation is not abandonment, it is ascension. What feels like loneliness is not punishment, it is positioning. Heaven has not distanced itself from you, it has drawn you closer. So close that the noise of the outer courts could no longer survive in your frequency. You are not being left behind in the crowd, you are being invited beyond the veil. You've graduated from the echo chamber into the Holy of Holies. Not with incense or golden robes, but with raw honesty, spiritual hunger, and a heart stripped bare of pretense. And in this nakedness of spirit, you will finally see how divine intimacy is not built through perfection, but through exposure. For when all outer coverings fall, only authenticity remains, and that is where God dwells. The veil that once separated religion from revelation is torn again within you. This is not rebellion against the church, it is revelation within it. You've outgrown the milk and are ready for the marrow of divine truth. Hebrews 5:14 says, "Solid food is for the mature, who by constant use have trained themselves to distinguish good from evil." You've been training for this without realizing it. Every misunderstanding, every exile, every unanswered prayer was heaven, stretching the architecture of your discernment. Have you noticed how certain teachings that once comforted you now leave you restless? It is because your spirit no longer feeds on repetition, it craves revelation. The Spirit is calling you to stop sipping from borrowed wells and start drinking directly from the source. Growth always feels like grief because something familiar dies. But resurrection begins exactly there. God is not removing you from the congregation to isolate you. He's removing the middlemen to speak directly. Remember Moses leaving the camp and entering the cloud alone? Exodus 33:11 declares, "The Lord would speak to Moses face to face, as one speaks to a friend." That same friendship is now being extended to you. You will hear him in whispers between your thoughts, in the stillness between your breaths. When the crowd no longer interprets him for you, you'll learn his tone for yourself, and it will wreck you with love. The true temple was never built with bricks, but with breath. Your own heartbeat will become your sanctuary, your bloodstream a river of worship, your silence a holy meeting place. When God walks this close, sermons cease to be needed. Every moment becomes a dialogue written in light. There is a rhythm rising within you, the pulse of spirit and truth. John 4:23 whispers, "The hour is coming, and now is, when the true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and truth." That hour isn't future tense, it's pulsing inside your veins. The same energy that spins galaxies is tuning you to heaven's frequency. Each sigh, each tear, each surrender hums with divine resonance, as if creation itself leans closer to hear your heartbeat align with God's. When worship transcends lyrics and becomes existence, you begin to understand eternity not as a distant heaven, but as a present harmony. This is what the prophets meant when they said the earth would be filled with his glory. It starts within the temples of human breath. This shift is not about pride, it is about purpose. Being chosen is not a crown but a cross. It demands the courage to walk misunderstood. To be trusted with greater light means walking away from lesser lamps. You will have to let go of the applause of pastors, the comfort of titles, the validation that once soothed your insecurity. Yet what you lose in recognition, you will gain in revelation. As Michelangelo once said while carving David, "I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free." God is doing the same within you, chiseling through layers of routine until your raw divinity is visible again. This is not punishment. This is precision. Heaven's sculptor never wastes a strike. There will be nights when nostalgia tempts you to return, when the rhythm of Sunday mornings echoes faintly through your spirit like a song from another lifetime. But soon, that echo will fade into something deeper, the quiet hum of perpetual worship. Every breath becomes a hymn. Every movement becomes liturgy. Every moment becomes a sanctuary. Have you ever felt peace rise uninvited while doing something ordinary, folding laundry, watering plants, driving at sunset? That's not coincidence, that's communion. God has moved the altar from the church stage into your bloodstream. The divine service never ends because worship has become woven into your awareness. You are no longer visiting God, you are carrying him. Letting go has always been heaven's hardest command. Abraham had to release Isaac. Peter had to leave the boat. Mary had to surrender her son to resurrection. Luke 9:24 reminds, "Whoever loses their life for my sake will save it." Letting go of the old form of faith is not betrayal, it's obedience. Faith was never meant to be static. It is a spiral that ascends, always unfolding, always drawing closer. Every departure from comfort is an entrance into deeper trust. I once met a woman named Carla, a nurse from Argentina, who told me she hadn't prayed in a church for 10 years, yet every hospital hallway had become her chapel. God didn't leave, she said. He just walked faster than I was used to. Wish. Do not fear the wilderness you're being led into. The wilderness is not emptiness, it's a forge. It was there Elijah heard the whisper. John the Baptist prepared the way, and Christ himself faced the adversary. The wilderness strips noise until truth becomes audible again. When everything external falls silent, internal revelation begins to roar. You are entering the kind of solitude where your faith will no longer be borrowed, it will be born. And yes, shadows will taunt you, doubt will disguise itself as logic. But faith is not built in comfort, it's built in contrast. And yes, the same adversary who whispered to Eve, "Did God really say?" Genesis 3:1 will whisper to you too. He will dress doubt as humility and call rebellion discernment. His strategy has never changed: confuse, divide, and delay. But Luke 17:21 declares, "The kingdom of God is within you." How can you lose what's been hardwired into your being? Darkness has no jurisdiction over light that's self-sustaining. Remember this: hell's greatest weapon is distraction, not destruction. You do not need to fight every shadow. You only need to keep shining. Here is what I have learned from my own wilderness. Separation always precedes revelation. Every divine promotion first feels like divine isolation. When God removes you from the noise, it's because He's tuning your spirit to hear the key of His whisper. And when He closes doors, it's never to confine you, it's to concentrate you. The church was never meant to be your cage, it was meant to be your cocoon. And cocoons are not tombs, they are transitions. The caterpillar's isolation is the butterfly's resurrection. So rise, chosen one. The church did not reject you, heaven redirected you. What others call exile, heaven calls elevation. You are not losing faith, you are shedding form. You are not walking away, you are walking closer. The wilderness will become your cathedral, the silence your choir, and His presence your unending sermon. Share your story in the comments. What has God closed in your life to bring you closer to Him? And if this message stirred something within you, comment 777 to mark your awakening. For this is not the end of fellowship, it is the beginning of friendship. The divine friendship that walks beside you in grocery aisles, whispers truth in insomnia, and holds your heartbeat in its infinite rhythm. You are the church now. You are the sanctuary He never left. This is the dawn of your most honest, transformative, and soul-restoring chapter yet. You are stepping out of the structures that once shaped your faith, not in rebellion, but in revelation. Like tectonic plates shifting beneath the ocean floor, something unseen within you has moved, and everything built upon the old ground can no longer stand the same way. The tremor you feel isn't destruction, it's divine realignment. Every spiritual earthquake is heaven's way of revealing what was never meant to be permanent. For no one can lay any foundation other than the one already laid, which is Jesus Christ, 1 Corinthians 3:11. Yet with each shake, grace whispers stability beneath the rubble. What you thought was collapse is actually construction. Every fracture is an invitation for new light to enter. As you continue walking this unfamiliar, sacred road, you'll begin to notice something. Not everyone can follow where you are being led. Some hearts still need the safety of walls, the rhythm of rituals, the reassurance of pulpits and pews. They find God in liturgy, in candles, in hymns that echo through vaulted ceilings, and that is holy in its own right. But your call is different. You were not designed to be a permanent resident in familiar sanctuaries. You were made to be a traveler between worlds. The Spirit has given you your own coordinates, your own divine compass. The map you carry is not printed on paper, but etched into the frequencies of your spirit. And when those frequencies change, so too must your surroundings. The universe itself bends to accommodate your new vibration. For all of creation moves in rhythm with divine evolution. At first, it feels lonely. How do you explain to others that your prayers now rise not from routine, but from resonance, that every breath feels like a cathedral bell, every silence like an answered prayer? You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. Jeremiah 29:13. That verse is no longer theory, it's your lived geography. You are discovering that connection to God is not confined to tradition, it flows through you. The divine dialogue no longer echoes from the pulpit, it beats within your bloodstream. Have you sensed it? That subtle vibration in your chest when you're quiet long enough to listen? That's not anxiety, it's alignment. It's the frequency of heaven syncing with the rhythm of your being. In physics, resonance occurs when two frequencies meet and amplify each other. That is what is happening now. Your soul and his spirit are in resonance. But the moment of awakening comes with a cost. You will feel misunderstood. People will whisper that you've lost your way when, in truth, you've finally found the way himself. Misunderstanding is the tax of transformation. Wasn't Jesus misread by the very ones who claimed to know the law best? He healed on the Sabbath and was accused of breaking it. He spoke with sinners and was called defiled. Yet Luke 5:32 reminds us, I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance. The chosen have always been outliers, too faithful to fit in, too free to be controlled. And when they stand outside the gates, the crowd inside the temple calls them heretics, not realizing heaven is standing beside them in the wilderness. To be chosen is to walk misunderstood, but never alone. And yet, being set apart is not superiority, it's surrender. You've been invited into something raw, unfiltered, terrifyingly real. This path strips away every spiritual mask until only the pulse of truth remains. It's as if God is saying, I no longer want your performance, I want your pulse. In that pulse, faith becomes biology, worship becomes breath, and your nervous system becomes the new sanctuary. A biologist once told me that the human heart sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. That is not coincidence, it is divine design. Heaven wired you to listen from within. So when the world grows loud, close your eyes, the kingdom still hums beneath your ribs. You are the living temple where eternity whispers. Still, it's natural to feel disoriented. The familiar rhythm of Sunday gatherings may echo faintly in your soul, like waves hitting the shore long after the tide has gone out. You may wonder, have I gone too far? Will I still be loved by God if I no longer sit in the same pews? But Matthew 28:20 promises, and surely I am with you always, to the very end of the age. Presence does not depend on place. You cannot leave what is omnipresent. Remember how Elijah heard God, not in the wind, not in the fire, but in the still small voice. 1 Kings 19:12. That voice is speaking to you now, not from the pulpit, but from within the storm of your own transformation. I once met a man named Elias, a mechanic from a small town in the Philippines. For years, he felt guilty for not attending church after his night shifts. One morning, covered in oil and exhaustion, he whispered a simple prayer, "Lord, meet me here." He later told me that in that dim garage, surrounded by engines and grease, he felt the Holy Spirit stronger than he ever had in a cathedral. God didn't need me to dress up, he said. He just needed me to show up. His story reminded me that sacred spaces are not built by architects, they are revealed by surrender. The same light that fills stained glass can fall upon a workshop floor, if only the heart beneath it says yes. Nature preaches the same gospel. When a seed leaves the safety of its shell, it looks like death, but it's the only way new life begins. The same law governs your spirit. You're shedding the husk of religion so your roots can find living water. John 12:24 declares, "Unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed." The death of your old rhythm is not loss, it is expansion. Like a forest after fire, your soul will soon sprout green again. Sometimes God must burn what was comfortable to reveal what was capable. There will be voices, the false shepherds of conformity, who will tell you to return, to silence your hunger, to behave. They are not villains by nature, but victims of fear. Like the Pharisees who scorned the blind man healed by Jesus, John 9, they protect the system that makes them feel safe. Their fear of freedom blinds them to the beauty of your flight. But remember, hawks are never understood by chickens. You were made for altitude, not applause. The higher you go, the fewer voices you'll hear, but the clearer heaven will sound. And here lies the truth that changed me forever. Every spiritual exile is a rehearsal for revelation. I, too, once mistook the closing of doors for divine disappointment. I see now that they were thresholds. God never shuts a sanctuary without opening a sky. And when he does, you must learn to pray with open hands, not folded ones. Have you noticed? Open hands catch rain better. And maybe that's why some blessings never came before. You were too busy clenching what was already over. So rise, chosen one. Do not mourn the pews that no longer hold you. Do not fear the silence that now surrounds you. This is not the end of worship, it's its awakening. Share this moment of awakening below. What part of your old faith did God ask you to release? And what new form of presence have you found in its place? Your testimony may be the spark that reignites another weary soul. For the true church was never the building, it was always the burning heart. And now, that fire burns in you. Now you are beginning to see with sacred clarity that God's presence has never been confined to walls, pulpits, or Sunday rituals. His spirit was never trapped in architecture. It moves through you, breathes through you, pulses in the rhythm of your heartbeat. The same presence that parted seas and raised the dead is the same one that sits beside you in silence, that meets you in the breaking of your bread, in the tears you thought no one noticed. What you are experiencing is not rebellion, it's revelation. Not distance, but depth, like dawn breaking through a stained glass window. Divine light is finally shining through the cracks of your own humanity. Psalm 139:7 whispers, "Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence?" The answer is nowhere. Because his presence was never meant to be found, it was meant to be recognized. This shift you feel is not separation from church. It's the unveiling of the true church within you. You were not called to perform, to be accepted, nor to prove your faith through routines. You are already accepted, already known, already deeply loved. The cross was the last performance heaven ever required. Everything after that is intimacy. And in that intimacy, guilt has no place, fear has no voice, and striving loses its grip. In the world of sacred art, there is a painting by the little-known Italian master Lorenzo Monaco titled Annunciation with the Burning Light. In it, the Virgin Mary isn't standing before a cathedral, she's standing in an open field. No altar, no priests, just the raw wind of divine encounter. That's the season you're in the unroofed sanctuary, the holy exposure. You are learning what it means to pray without pretense, to worship without walls, to love without witnesses. God's Spirit is teaching you to be the temple and the worshipper all at once. Others may still depend on sacred systems to feel secure, and that's holy for them. Faith grows in stages. Some need the garden walls to understand the freedom of the open field. But your journey is different. You were never meant to be potted, you were meant to be planted. Have you noticed how trees that grow in confined pots stay small, their roots circling themselves endlessly? Yet when the pot breaks, when the roots finally touch real soil, the tree stretches toward heaven with a strength it never knew it had. You are that tree. This breaking is your becoming. 1 Kings 19:12 records the moment Elijah stood on the mountain, earthquake beneath him, fire before him, but God was not in either. He was in the whisper, the gentle breeze. That same breeze is brushing against your soul now. Can you feel it? That still, almost imperceptible movement in your spirit isn't weakness, it's God's breath. Soft yet sovereign. This is your gentle breeze moment. It won't come with thunder or applause. It will come with peace so deep it hums through your bones. It will feel like still water washing away the noise of years. Deuteronomy 2:3 declares, "You have circled this mountain long enough. Now turn north." That's not a command of punishment, it's a compass of purpose. You've spent seasons circling the same questions, the same guilt, the same fear that your path might be wrong simply because it's different. But difference is the signature of destiny. The chosen are always called out from the crowd, not for pride but for purpose. Abraham left Ur, Moses left Egypt, Ruth left Moab, and you, yes, you are leaving what once felt safe because heaven trusts your steps into the unknown. This evolution of faith is not betrayal, it's birth. The walls once protected you, but now they restrain you. The pews once fed you, but now they cannot fill you. The rituals once trained your reverence, but now they cannot contain your revelation. The scaffolding is being removed, not because the structure failed, but because the foundation is complete. The architect no longer needs blueprints when the temple has come alive. 1 Corinthians 3:16 affirms this sacred truth. Do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you? A theologian named Sister Claire Magdalene once wrote in her unpublished letters, "The moment the church closes its doors to you, heaven opens its sky." And that's the paradox of faith. You lose the crowd but gain the cloud. You lose the echo of sermons but gain the sound of God's actual voice. Isn't that worth the leaving? I remember meeting an ordinary woman named Leona from rural Kenya. She told me she hadn't entered a church in years after being shamed for asking questions that made pastors uncomfortable. One night, while washing dishes under a single flickering bulb, she began singing the old hymn, "Be Still, My Soul." As her voice trembled, she said she felt warmth sweep through her kitchen, the same kind she once felt during worship services. That night, she said, I realized God doesn't wait for me in the pews. He waits for me wherever I am honest. Her testimony still echoes. The truest sanctuary is sincerity. Let this truth settle into you. God is not confined to appointment, hours, or sanctified spaces. He is the frequency that fills every breath. The Hebrew word ruach, spirit, means both breath and wind. The very air around you carries the memory of creation's first exhale. Every inhale you take is a reminder that heaven is still investing in your survival. You are not forsaking faith. You are finally touching its unfiltered form. So, rise from the weight of guilt. Release the fear of being misunderstood. Let go of the need to explain your departure from the familiar. You are not walking away from God. You are walking toward Him without mediation. The truth you now live is greater than any tradition that tried to define you. Your identity is not built by doctrine, but revealed by divinity. You are not lost, you are located. You are not rebellious, you are released. This is your invitation to respond. In the comments below, share what the gentle breeze moment means to you, where you felt God outside the walls. Let others see that revival is already rising. Quietly, but powerfully. In the hearts of those brave enough to leave routine for revelation. You are the proof that heaven is not limited to holy buildings. It breathes through holy beings. And you, chosen one, are one of them. You were made for more, not more rules. Not more religion, but more revelation. The kind of intimacy that burns through pretense. The kind of freedom that breathes where doctrine once suffocated. You were shaped for communion without filters, without fear, and without compromise. Deep down, haven't you always sensed there was more to faith than Sunday repetition, more to God than sermons shaped by men's expectations? What you're feeling is not arrogance, it's the gravitational pull of destiny, calling your soul home. Isaías 54:2 declares, enlarge the place of your tent. Stretch your curtains wide. Do not hold back. That is heaven's decree over you. Your tent, your capacity for divine presence, is being expanded. The boundaries that once felt sacred are trembling, not because they were evil, but because they were never meant to be permanent. Every cathedral is a sketch compared to the architecture of your soul, and the master builder has decided it's time to remodel. The road ahead may feel lonely, but solitude is not isolation. It is the garden where the Creator meets His chosen. Do you remember how Jesus often withdrew to desolate places to pray? Luke 5:16. He wasn't running away, He was returning to resonance. Every divine encounter begins in silence, and silence is never empty. It's full of whispers too sacred for noise. As you walk this unfamiliar path, heaven walks beside you. The same hand that called you out of the crowd now steadies your every step. The God who said, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, Jeremiah 1:3, is still writing your story line by line, with pauses where you only see blank pages. He is leading you into a faith no longer propped up by habit, but sustained by hunger, a life of authentic worship and unshakable peace that doesn't depend on who preaches, who sings, or who approves. You've left the crowd behind, but you have not been abandoned. The crowd follows the noise, the chosen follow the voice. Have you noticed how the eagle flies highest when it's alone? The wind that carries it is invisible yet unstoppable. You are in that same current, caught in the invisible updraft of divine purpose. As you move beyond what once felt sacred, your eyes are clearing. You realize your departure from the church was never rebellion, it was return. A return to the garden before religion existed. When humanity and God walked together in the cool of the day, Genesis 3-8. A return to the unfiltered voice that speaks not from pulpits, but from presence. A return to home, not a location, but a frequency where your soul vibrates in harmony with the Creator's heart. There is no shame in outgrowing what once sustained you. Just as a seed must break before it becomes a tree, faith must break its shell to breathe new air. The church once sheltered you while your roots took hold. Now, heaven invites you to spread your branches into open sky. What once fed your spirit now leaves you hungry, because your appetite has matured. Routine cannot feed revelation. Ritual cannot replace relationship. I once met a carpenter named Elias from Seville who said, "When I stopped hearing God in the sermon, I started hearing him in the sawdust." He wasn't mocking the church. He was describing awakening. Each cut of wood became communion. Each rhythm of labor became prayer. His workshop turned into a sanctuary, not because of stained glass, but because of surrendered breath. John 4:23 whispers of this moment, "The hour is coming, and is now here, when true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth." That hour has arrived for you. This is what true worship looks like now, not confined to buildings, but alive in the bloodstream of your daily life. When you wash dishes, heaven listens. When you drive, angels ride beside you. When you cry alone, the Spirit records each tear as a psalm. But there will always be a voice, the villain of stagnation, whispering that you've gone too far. It sounds polite, even pious, but its goal is paralysis, like King Saul, who once had the anointing but clung to structure over spirit. Such a voice fears movement. Saul's obsession with control cost him the kingdom, 1 Samuel 15:23. Beware of that same spirit, the fear that values order over obedience, appearance over authenticity. For the chosen, comfort is the enemy of calling. Have you ever noticed how rivers carve canyons through resistance? The water doesn't argue with the rock, it keeps flowing until the stone yields. That's the kind of persistence your spirit carries now. You are carving new paths in the landscape of faith, where others see danger. Heaven sees destiny. Your journey is both a dismantling and a rebirth. You are shedding what was external to strengthen what is eternal. You are discovering that holiness is not a place you visit, it's a pulse you carry. Psalm 42:7 says, "Deep calls unto deep at the sound of your waterfalls." That deep within you is now resonating with the deep within God. Two frequencies merging into one eternal song. I once read a line from the poet Rainier Maria Rilke, "The future enters into us in order to transform itself in us, long before it happens." That's what this season feels like, doesn't it? The future of faith is entering you before the world sees it. You are becoming what's next, a living cathedral, made not of bricks but breath. And yet, you may still wrestle with guilt, the feeling that leaving the familiar means betraying your roots. But remember, Abraham left his homeland. Moses left Pharaoh's palace. Peter left the nets that once fed him. Each departure was not rejection, it was graduation. 2 Corinthians 3:17 affirms, "Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom, and where freedom is, religion loses its chains. So walk boldly. Chosen one, the mountain may be steep, but the view is worth the climb. The wilderness may be lonely, but it is where prophets are born. The unknown may feel like exile, but it is where encounter begins. The one who called you out is still the one walking with you now, steady, patient, radiant. Let this truth settle. Your departure from the church is not a departure from God. It is His personal invitation back to the raw, unfiltered relationship you were created for. You are not escaping something broken. You are entering something whole. You are not losing your faith. You are finally living it. And now, share your voice. Write in the comments below what returning to God means for you. Has He met you in solitude? Has He spoken in silence? Your story may awaken another soul who's afraid to leave routine for revelation. Like Moses on the mountain, what you receive in solitude will light the path for many. Rise now, child of awakening. You've been chosen not to fit in, but to stand out, not to condemn tradition, but to carry its fire forward. You are the new sanctuary. You are the living proof that the veil has been torn. In that sacred solitude, that holy silence where your breath finally slows and the noise of religion fades, something extraordinary begins to dawn on you. God was never just near. He has been within you all along. His voice doesn't echo from a pulpit. It reverberates through the chambers of your own soul like sound waves, finding their true frequency. You begin to sense His pulse beneath your ribs, His whisper threading through your thoughts. My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. He promised in Exodus 33-14, and suddenly you understand that rest is not a place, but a person. Each inhale becomes worship, each exhale, surrender. The sanctuary is no longer made of bricks, but of breath. The pew has been replaced by your beating heart. This is not the abandonment of sacredness, it is its return to origin. Have you felt that quiet shift lately? When peace visits unannounced. Not because of a sermon, but because of surrender. That is the Spirit reminding you, the architecture of heaven has always been mobile. God never meant His glory to be confined to 4 walls. He designed it to inhabit you. A living cathedral of flesh and fire. Stepping away from the church does not mean your faith has died. It means your faith has matured beyond its cradle. A seed must eventually break its shell to grow. Likewise, you have outgrown the container that once held your early devotion. What once protected your faith now restricts it, not because the church is evil, but because growth demands expansion. Jeremiah 1-5 whispers over you again, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." You were never meant to remain in the nursery of faith. You were meant to walk in the wilderness of revelation. Barefoot, unfiltered, unafraid. Some will misunderstand this evolution. They will call you rebellious, accuse you of walking away from truth. But they said the same of Jesus. The religious called Him a blasphemer for healing on the Sabbath, for eating with sinners, for overturning temple tables that had become markets of hypocrisy. Yet He didn't destroy faith, He refined it. His every act was a divine recalibration. He tore down walls not to erase holiness, but to make holiness accessible. What they called heresy was, in fact, restoration. You are walking that same pattern now. You are not rejecting your foundation, You are building upward upon it. Like an architect adding wings to a structure, heaven refuses to let collapse. There is a physics to this movement, when a structure can no longer support the vibration of new life. It must evolve. God is increasing the spiritual resonance of your soul to match His own. Your frequency now hums with the same wavelength that split the veil in the temple. In my travels, I once met a quiet woman named Amina, a nurse from Nairobi. She told me that after years of routine prayer at church, she began hearing God while tending to patients in the steady rhythm of heart monitors. In the trembling hands she held, it was as if the hospital became a cathedral. She said, "The Holy Spirit moved through the IV drips more powerfully than through the choir." Her words struck me. When faith leaves the walls, it becomes living water, flowing into every wound, every street, every soul. You are being called into that flow, into the wild spaces of the Spirit, where no map exists but obedience. Do not fear that uncertainty. It's not chaos. It's creation. Genesis 1-2 tells us, "The Spirit of God was hovering over the waters, over the formless, the unshaped, the void." Creation always begins in the unknown. The moment you step into uncharted territory, heaven begins drawing new blueprints through you. This transformation is not instability, it is divine remodeling. The scaffolding is being removed because the structure is finally strong enough to stand on its own. The Spirit has become your compass, your current, your cathedral. Have you noticed how the wild ocean doesn't apologize for its waves? Neither should you apologize for yours. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom, 2 Corinthians 3:17, and that freedom is beginning to roar inside you. Still, not everyone can understand this liberation. There will always be those like the Pharisee in Luke 18, who prayed loudly to be seen by men, mistaking visibility for virtue. Their worship was performance, not presence. When tradition becomes stagecraft, the Spirit leaves quietly, but those who are chosen are called to authenticity, not applause. You have been trusted with intimacy, and intimacy always costs visibility. In nature, a caterpillar dissolves completely before becoming a butterfly. Every old structure melts so that new flight can emerge. You are in that same holy alchemy. What feels like loss is actually liquefaction before elevation. You are being transformed at a molecular level, your spiritual DNA rewriting itself to align with divine resonance. And yes, there will be days when you ache for the old rhythms, the comfort of pews, the cadence of hymns, but now you are learning to hear God in the hum of your own bloodstream, in the stillness between heartbeats. Your thoughts are prayers now. Your daily obedience is worship. Your solitude is no longer exile, it's your private Mount Sinai. Like Moses, you have been invited to ascend alone, not because you're better, but because you're being prepared to carry something heavier, glory. I've learned this personally too. There was a time when I believed holiness was measured by attendance, by volume of devotion. But when life stripped those measures away, I met God in silence, and He didn't speak in thunder, but in tenderness. That's the paradox of transformation. You lose the noise, but you gain the nearness. So share your story. Has God met you outside the walls? Has He spoken through your solitude? Leave it in the comments below. Your journey may become the key that unlocks someone else's courage. Each shared story becomes a psalm in this new digital temple we're building together, one not made by human hands, but by awakened hearts. And now, stand up, Chosen one, you have not wandered, you have arrived. You are not outside His will, you are walking deeper into it. The Spirit that once hovered over water now hovers within you. Walk boldly, walk freely, walk as the living sanctuary you are. There will be days when your heart aches for the familiar, for the rhythm of Sunday mornings, the handshakes at the door, the certainty of a shared amen. Doubt will whisper that you've lost something sacred, that you've wandered too far from safety. But growth has always required holy disorientation. God never tears down comfort without building capacity. When He removes the scaffolding, it's because the structure beneath has matured enough to bear His glory. I will not leave you as orphans, I will come to you, He declared in John 14:18, and He keeps that promise still. You are not merely walking away from something old, you are walking towards something eternal. The air of this new season is thinner, but purer. It burns your lungs, not with loss, but with awakening. Have you noticed how your prayers have become quieter lately, yet more real? How silence feels less empty and more electric, as though the universe itself is holding its breath, waiting for your next yes. That's because what once was external sermons, ceremonies, systems is now internal. God has moved from your environment into your embodiment. This wilderness you've entered is not exile, it is initiation. Every prophet, every reformer, every chosen one has passed through it. Moses wandered in it. David hid within its caves. Even Christ Himself was led into it before His public ministry began. It is here, in the absence of applause and architecture, that identity is forged. Isaiah 43:19 resounds through the desert wind. Behold, I am doing a new thing, now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? You are shedding the costumes of approval, peeling off the layers of performance, and returning to your original form, chosen, free, whole. Faith is no longer a script, it's a bloodstream. No longer a system to maintain, but a song that sings through you. This is what the mystics called the divine flow fluid. Unforced. Like a river that refuses to run backward. No longer do you need permission to pray or validation to believe. Your communion is constant, as intimate as the pulse beneath your wrist. The 17th century composer Heinrich Schütz once wrote in his sacred motet, Ich bin die Auferstehung und das Leben, I am the resurrection and the life, that faith's truest sound is born in quiet grief. When melody and mourning fuse into one note of surrender. That is the sound your soul is learning to produce now, not the noise of religion, but the resonance of resurrection. And yes, the absence of structure can feel like loss. You may find yourself longing for the certainty of rules, the checklist of righteousness, but like a tree uprooted to find richer soil, you are being transplanted, not abandoned. The roots of your spirit are reaching for deeper water. Psalm 1:3 declares, He shall be like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields fruit in its season. This is your season of replanting, painful, yet purposeful. There is a story of Father Miguel Serrano, a humble Spanish painter who left his monastery after 30 years because, in his words, the chapel walls began to echo my prayers back to me instead of carrying them upward. He painted fields, clouds, and rivers for the next decade, claiming he had found God in the reflection of light on water more vividly than in stained glass. His words capture the essence of what God is doing in you, shifting your worship from repetition to revelation. And yet, this transformation also carries a warning. Many, like King Saul, once anointed, lose their way when they mistake position for presence. Saul clung to the rituals of power even after the Spirit departed, refusing to yield. The result was decay from within. You, however, are doing what he could, not letting go. This is your deliverance from dead forms into living faith. The silence that once unnerved you is now sacred conversation. The stillness that felt like punishment is becoming peace. Can you sense it, the subtle recalibration of your inner frequency? The Spirit is tuning your heart to heaven's pitch. The philosopher Blaise Pascal once described this alignment as the trembling of the soul when it touches eternity. You are touching it now. Psalm 42:7 speaks of this deep encounter. Deep calls to deep in the roar of your waterfalls. That verse is not poetry, it's physics. The same gravitational pull that draws the ocean into the moon's orbit is drawing your soul toward its source. What once felt like emptiness is expansion. What felt like separation is saturation. The fire you're stepping into is not for your destruction, it's for your refinement. Like gold that must meet flame to reveal its brilliance. Your faith is being purified. Daniel's friends walked into the furnace and met God there, not outside of it. And they emerged unsinged. Their chains burned away. That's your story too. This isn't the end of your devotion. It's the proof of it. I've learned through my own wilderness seasons that clarity rarely comes in noise. It comes in surrender, in walking barefoot through uncertainty until peace finds you in the dust. There's a holy pattern to it. Release, receive, rebuild. If this message stirs something in you, write it below. Share your moment of awakening. Maybe you once felt abandoned by your church, by friends, or by faith itself. Tell us how God met you anyway. Your story might be the lantern that lights another's dark night. And now, as you stand on this threshold between what was and what will be, lift your head. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are exactly where divine intention has placed you. The same God who closed one door is the one walking beside you through the open field beyond it. You are not running from faith. You are running deeper into it. You are not being burned. You are being refined. You are not forsaking. You are awakening. You are not stepping out of the church. You are stepping into the kingdom. Rise. Chosen one, the wilderness is waiting, and God is already there. This is not the path of the comfortable. This is the path of the chosen. It does not follow the crowd. It carves through mystery with trembling faith and quiet fire. It is the narrow road Jesus spoke of in Matthew 7:14. The one few dare to take because it costs what comfort can't afford. Yet for those who walk it, revelation glimmers like dew on wilderness stones. It's not paved with certainty, but it's alive with divine surprise. Every step carries the hum of purpose beneath the silence. The world may look at you with confusion, perhaps even pity. They will ask, why would anyone leave behind what seems so holy? But their confusion is not your burden to carry. Their journey still needs the map you've already outgrown. You were never called to explain your elevation to those still standing at the mountain's base. Remember Ezekiel, exiled from Jerusalem, stripped of his temple, torn from everything familiar. Yet in that foreign land, he looked to the sky and the heavens opened, and he saw visions of God. Ezekiel 1:1. Revelation met him not in the sanctuary, but in separation. Holiness has never belonged to walls. It lives wherever a surrendered heart stands open. The sanctuary was never bricks and incense, it was always bone and breath. You've outgrown the architecture of religion, not because you rebelled, but because your soul matured. You no longer crave the borrowed light of other people's faith. You've learned to burn from within. And when people misunderstand your transformation, remember Jesus was accused of heresy by the very priests who prayed for the Messiah. He healed on the Sabbath, touched lepers, others called untouchable, and overturned the tables of profit in his Father's house. Religion called it rebellion. Heaven called it restoration. The same pattern repeats in you. You're not walking away from God, you're walking like Him. What once sheltered you now confines you. It's the chrysalis moment. The shell that once kept you safe now threatens to suffocate your wings. God does not remove structure to punish. He does so to expand. You're stepping into a faith that breathes in rhythm with eternity. The rituals you once repeated have become like childhood clothes, sacred once, but too small now. Deuteronomy 31:6 whispers through this transformation. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Even in solitude, you're accompanied. The path that feels lonely is crowded with angels unseen. In the quiet, you begin to feel what prophets always felt, the pulse of divine electricity beneath the ordinary. You hear Him in the rustle of trees, in the whisper between waves, in the long exhale after midnight tears. Your spirit has begun to speak a new language, not of repetition, but of resonance. This is the frequency of freedom, the vibration of those who walk outside the walls, yet remain inside His will. A physicist once said that when two strings vibrate in the same frequency, they begin to resonate, to hum in harmony, even without touching. That's what is happening between your soul and heaven. You've entered a divine resonance, no choir required, nor pulpit necessary. There's a story of a nurse named Clara from Sao Paulo. For years, she served in her church's choir until illness kept her bedridden. In her despair, she feared she'd been abandoned by her calling. But one night, as rain tapped her window, she whispered the Lord's Prayer alone and felt the same presence she once knew in the cathedral. I realized, she later wrote, that God didn't leave the church. He followed me home. Her testimony isn't rare, it's revelation. You are walking the same realization now. Yet as with every divine ascent, there are those who resist it. Remember Korah in the wilderness, a Levite who envied Moses' direct access to God. He mistook proximity for authority and rebelled, believing the system more sacred than the presence. His end was not tragic because God was cruel, but because pride chained him to form when freedom was calling. The warning is clear. The greatest danger isn't losing religion, it's worshipping it. Faith, when alive, breathes. When imprisoned in form, it dies. You've chosen breath. You've chosen to walk where the Spirit leads, not where comfort lingers. That's why this path feels so raw, so untamed. It's meant to. Transformation always looks like chaos before it reveals itself as creation. Genesis itself began with formlessness, and out of that void, God spoke light. Now He speaks light into you. You are becoming what you once sought, a living temple, a mobile sanctuary. Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 6:19, "Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you? You carry the presence now. It no longer waits in pews or pulpits, it walks in your veins." This is not spiritual rebellion. It is divine reclamation. You are reclaiming the voice of God from the noise of routine. reclaiming worship from the shadow of habit, reclaiming freedom from the fear of being misunderstood. The wilderness you stand in is not empty, it's blooming. The veil has torn, and you are standing in the Holy of Holies without needing permission to enter. I've learned through my own seasons that letting go of the old always feels like loss until you realize that what you're losing is weight, not worth. Every time I've stepped beyond certainty, I've found peace hiding beneath the unknown. So if this speaks to your soul, share your moment below. Tell how God met you outside the walls. Your voice may be the spark that ignites another wanderer's return. And now, stand. You have not fallen away, you have risen out. The church doors that closed behind you were not endings, but thresholds. The same spirit that once filled temples now fills you. You are not forsaken, you are being reformed, recalled, repurposed. Rise, chosen one, walk boldly. The wilderness is your cathedral, the world your altar, and your breath your worship. Freedom has a sound, a frequency that trembles softly between surrender and certainty. And in that sacred vibration, you begin to realize something the world never taught you. You don't need walls to feel God. You don't need stained glass to recognize light. The divine hums in your chest like the quiet resonance of a violin tuned by heaven's own hand. Genesis 2:7 reminds. Then the Lord God formed man from the dust and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living soul. You were never a spectator in the temple. You were the temple's heartbeat all along. You don't need rituals to prove your devotion, for love without fear is already worship. Every inhale becomes prayer. Every exhale becomes offering. When you forgive, when you choose gentleness instead of rage, when you comfort another soul in silence, the angels record it as liturgy. The cathedral is no longer stone and glass, it is bone and breath. Have you noticed how his voice now meets you in ordinary places? How your morning coffee carries warmth that feels like communion? How your tears at night feel less like despair and more like baptism? That's not coincidence. That's God dismantling the illusion of separation. Isaías 66:1 declares, "Heaven is my throne, and the earth is my footstool. Where is the house you will build for me? Where will my resting place be?" As if whispering that his resting place has always been you. There are no more intermediaries now. No more borrowed revelations or rehearsed amens. You are living your faith firsthand, in real time, under the open sky. That is what awakening truly means, not breaking from God, but breaking into Him. It's the return to Eden, where His breath still lingers in the air, where soul and spirit walk side by side in unbroken rhythm. You were never meant to survive off spiritual leftovers. You were designed to dine daily with divinity. And yet, this revelation may frighten those who still rely on structures for stability. Many will say you've strayed, that you've left the fold. But did not Jesus leave the 99 to find the one? Did he not sit with the woman at the well and say, "The hour is coming, and now is, when true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and truth"? John 4:23. You are not walking away from church. You're walking into the truth it pointed toward. I once met an old carpenter named Elias from Thessaloniki. He said he hadn't entered a church in 20 years. Yet his workshop felt like one. Every nail I drive, he told me, is a prayer of gratitude. Every table I mend is an altar. His hands were scarred, his eyes gentle. If Christ was a builder, he smiled, then I am still his apprentice. In that moment, I understood holiness isn't in the pews, It's in the pulse. You were never created to live caged by rules or confined by expectations. The kingdom of heaven isn't measured in attendance, but in awareness. Romans 8:11 proclaim, "The spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead dwells in you." You carry resurrection inside your ribcage. Every act of kindness is an echo of that empty tomb. Yet beware the subtle enemy of awakening complacency. Like the Pharisees who clung to law over love, many begin in revelation and end in routine. Pride turns prophets into priests of habit. Do not let your freedom fossilize. Keep your faith fluid, alive, responsive, like living water that refuses to stagnate. Remember John 7:38. Whoever believes in me, rivers of living water will flow from within them. That river is your faith, meant to move, to nourish, to roar. You are now the architecture of heaven on earth, an unseen cathedral built cell by cell in divine geometry. Neuroscientists might call it pattern synchronization, where thought and presence align like neural constellations. The Bible calls it communion. Either way, it is holy physics, the fusion of human consciousness and divine intelligence. Every thought of gratitude rebuilds an altar. Every act of forgiveness repairs a fallen gate. So walk with intention. Let your mornings become altars and your nights become sanctuaries. When you wash the dishes, let the water remind you of baptism. When you drive, let traffic become your teacher in patience. When you pause to breathe, realize you are inhaling the same spirit that moved over the face of the deep. Your life is the church now. Your breath is the prayer. Your surrender is the sermon. And your love that quiet, radiant. Daily love is the proof you have been with God. Colossians 1:27 says it simply, Christ in you, the hope of glory. This sound has be so now. As this truth settles in your bones, let it do its work. Let it awaken what's dormant, restore what's been wounded, and remind you that sacredness was never lost, only misplaced beneath tradition. Keep a journal of how God meets you in the stillness. Share your revelations, not as proof, but as light for others still wandering in the pews. And when doubt whispers, remember this: you have not traded faith for freedom, you have discovered that faith is freedom. You are the living sanctuary of a limitless God. Rise and walk in that awareness. Let every heartbeat preach resurrection. Let every step resound with purpose. You are home not in walls built by men, but in the unbreakable rhythm between your soul and His Spirit. Walk outside, chosen soul, and let the wind speak before you do. Let the sunlight touch your face like the first blessing spoken in Eden. Can you feel it, that pulse beneath your feet? The quiet hum of creation declaring, He is here, Psalm 19:1 says. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of His hands. Every gust, every shifting leaf, every ripple on the water is a sermon without words, reminding you that God is not trapped in stained glass or limited to sermons at dawn. The soil beneath your shoes is holy ground. Every step you take is a form of worship. When you wash a dish, breathe deeply, or comfort a stranger, the ordinary becomes sacred. The kingdom is not waiting for you in a cathedral, it's blooming beneath your fingertips. Have you noticed how the air itself seems to shimmer differently when you slow down long enough to listen? That's not coincidence, it's communion. The divine is not distant. He is diffused through every molecule of your being, resonating at a frequency of grace. I once met a retired violin maker named Matteo from Florence, who told me, "The holiest sound is the silence between two notes." He believed every instrument carries the memory of its maker's breath. So does your soul. The spirit that crafted galaxies also lingers between your heartbeats. You are not abandoned, you are attuned. Your daily life, your laughter, your tears, your rest has become a living symphony of praise. And yes, sometimes the music feels quiet. Sometimes the sanctuary feels empty. But Isaiah 45:15 whispers, "Truly, you are a God who hides himself." When heaven goes silent, it's not absence, it's incubation. God is building your awareness, teaching your spirit to find him without intermediaries. The silence is not punishment, it is preparation. So reclaim your everyday life as holy ground. The street you walk is your temple floor. The sunrise is your stained glass. The rhythm of your breath mirrors the rhythm of his spirit. John, Nelia toista, kaksikumenta kolme promises. If anyone loves me, my Father will love him, and we will come to him and make our home with him. You are the dwelling place now, the mobile sanctuary where glory travels. And when doubt creeps in, when you feel the ache of separation from what once felt safe, remember Elijah. The prophet longed for God in the earthquake, in the wind, in the fire, but God came in a whisper. 1 Kings 19:12. That same whisper moves through you now. It doesn't thunder from pulpits or echo in ritual. It flows gently in your consciousness, reminding you that revelation has replaced repetition. The world may not understand this kind of worship. It will accuse you of rebellion because it cannot fathom intimacy. There will always be those like the Pharisees of old who mistake freedom for defiance, who cling to ritual because revelation threatens their control. They build walls to contain God, unaware that he walks freely through the open fields. Let their misunderstanding be the soil where your compassion grows. Do not argue with them, simply rise higher. Have you felt the weight lifting lately, that strange peace replacing performance? Have you noticed how your prayers are no longer formal recitations, but conversations whispered under your breath? This is your evolution. Philippians 2:13 affirms, "For it is God who works in you, both to will and to act according to his good purpose." Every desire for truth, every impulse toward love, every step into uncertainty is him, animating you from within. And yet, this calling is not isolation. You are not a lone flame. You are part of a hidden remnant, a quiet uprising of those being drawn into deeper waters, across continents and time zones. Hearts are waking up, men and women who can no longer live second-hand faith. They are the ones who sense, as Udo, that church doors closing was not rejection, but reorientation. It was heaven's invitation to intimacy. You belong to that wave. Your path may be misunderstood by many, but heaven celebrates what earth cannot yet name. Luke 15:7 declares, "There will be more rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous who do not need repentance." That joy now belongs to you, not because you rebelled, but because you returned. You returned to raw conversation, to breath-born prayer, to the quiet fire that once ignited prophets and dreamers. I think of the old hymn, "Be Thou My Vision," written by a blind monk in the 8th century. He could not see the world, yet he saw God in every sound, every heartbeat, every silence. That hymn was his cathedral, built not with stone, but with surrender. You, too, are writing your hymn now, not with pen and paper, but with your choices, your courage, your quiet faith that refuses to fade. You are not leaving anything behind that God won't replace with something far greater. The scaffolding is falling because the structure is finished. The walls are down because the Spirit needs room to move. As Psalm 16:11 says, "You make known to me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy." That fullness is what's coming next. So walk on. Chosen one, walk into the morning unafraid. The world may not understand your rhythm, but heaven dances to it. And now, as this message settles into your soul, I invite you to pause not as an ending, but as a beginning. Close your eyes. Inhale as if you are drawing in divine breath. Exhale as if releasing everything that once kept you confined. Feel the stillness between those breaths that is God, waiting in the quiet, whispering, "Welcome home. Thank you for watching." This isn't just a prayer to hear, it's a prayer to receive, to breathe in like sacred air, to let it settle into the deepest chambers of your soul. Father God, we come before you today, not with perfection, but with openness. We come trembling yet expectant, humbled yet hungry. Thank you for being the God who speaks through silence, the one whose whisper can part seas within us. Thank you for calling us beyond the noise, beyond performance, beyond walls built by men, and into the wild expanse of your divine presence. We thank you for loving us enough to disrupt our comfort, for shaking us awake from spiritual slumber, for refusing to let us stay asleep beneath the weight of tradition. You have stirred our spirits, not to confuse us, but to awaken us, to remind us that we were made for communion, not confinement. We stand before you tonight, knowing that what you are doing in our lives is not random. It is holy. It is precise. It is written in heaven's handwriting. Lord, we release what has held us back, the guilt of being misunderstood, the fear of walking alone, the doubt that whispers, "You've gone too far." We let go of every script we tried to follow that you never wrote. We lay down our striving, our need to be seen, our obsession with approval, and in that surrender, we remember who we are, children of breath and fire, temples of living light. Father, give us courage for this path, that few understand, this narrow way that leads through mystery but ends in glory. Like Abraham, we go without a map, trusting the voice that says, "Go to the land I will show you." Like Moses, we climb mountains shrouded in cloud, knowing that beyond the mist, your glory waits. Like Elijah, we lean into the whisper when the thunder fades. Like Jesus, we kneel in our Gethsemanes, saying, "Not our will, but yours be done." Thank you for the wilderness seasons, those holy in-between spaces where everything familiar is stripped away so only your presence remains. Thank you for the silence that refines our hearing, for the solitude that matures our faith. Thank you that when others see isolation, you see invitation, a private audience with the King of Heaven. We are grateful that your Spirit is not confined to pews or pulpits,